Dr. Talbot, what do you mean by saying decarbonizing the construction industry?
Right. At the present time, Europe faces probably two of the greatest challenges that we've ever faced. We have the problem of climate change, and we have the problem of threats to our indigenous energy supplies. There's a common problem and there's a common solution, which is to take carbon out of our economies.
Which ways do you foresee how the building industry can be involved?
Well, that's the point. It is the construction industry. Not everyone may know that buildings are responsible for at least 50% of all carbon dioxide emissions. And therefore, if we're looking for solutions, we need to imagine an industry which uses low carbon technologies, which uses energy efficiency not just to save costs, but also to take carbon out of the equation.
Can you sum up again the two threats?
Yeah, the two threats. There's the threat of climate change. Every time we burn fossil fuels, that's oil and gas, coal, we put new amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The Earth gets warmer. Now that might sound like a good thing. In fact, it's not. We're changing our climate. The Earth is now hotter than it's ever been for 10,000 years. If we go on putting carbon into the atmosphere, the Earth's going to get hotter. And the people that are going to suffer most are the poor and vulnerable countries who don't have the systems, they don't have the financial awareness to be able to do something about it. So they're the ones that's going to suffer most.
Can you sum up the business case for sustainability in the industry?
There's two issues. One is there's an enormous threat. Governments, every time there's floods, every time there's severe weather events, every time there's storms, every time there's blackouts, which most of Europe in one form or another suffered from over the last summer, then governments begin to take these matters seriously. They begin to introduce new laws, they begin to introduce new regulations, but there's a whole other side to it as well. And that other side is that there's a business case. It actually makes sound economic sense to invest in sustainable buildings. And that's what we call the win-win, where there's both a good reason for doing it, but also people can benefit through their investment. I've talked about the two drivers of change within the construction industry. There's the regulatory side. There's the introduction of new legislation that will inevitably follow because of problems like climate change, causing flooding, causing damage to buildings. Insurance companies are going to want to ensure that they are covering the liability brought about by severe weather events. There's an enormous cost implication in the outage, the power cuts. So there's going to be that side. There's also going to be the business case, which I talked about. And the question is, how is the construction industry going to respond to this? Well, throughout Europe, the construction industry generally is undergoing reform. It's being pushed by economic factors, by lack of proper skills. So we have a real opportunity now in an industry that's already undergoing reform to make sure that the challenge of decarbonisation is actually built into the industry itself. We need to have a whole new culture of sustainability which informs the construction industry right across the sector, from the client on one hand right through to the architect, to the builder, and to the end user. And if we can somehow or other achieve that level of understanding, then we have a chance. The construction industry has an enormous responsibility and it has an enormous challenge. I happen to think the construction industry can face that challenge, but it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time to achieve it.